What's going on in the Atlanta real estate market? What's going on with home values? Where are the best schools? Cleve has all the answers for you. Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. Now, here's Cleve Gaddis.
You're listening to the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. If you need to reach us, Gaddis Partners Remax Center, you can call 770-497-0000, or you can go to gogaddis.com. That's GOGADDIS.com. One more time, GOGADDIS.com. We have a guest on the line with us right now. His name is Mike Scher. Mike, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
That is correct, yes.
Mike Scher, and you live in Alpharetta, and you and I came to know one another because one of my, if you will, client care specialist who's responsible for connecting me with sellers that we have the potential of doing business with, came across your wife. And I think I actually came out and previewed your home myself many months ago, and I think it was just when you were starting to explore the process. I don't even think you were interviewing agents. Well, long story short, you did decide on an agent. You had your home listed with that agent for X number of months, and the process was not successful. And we ran across you again in following up with some of our seller prospects, and you had such an unusual take on how you were going to go through the process of selecting your next real estate agent. So if you don't mind, Mike, just kind of set up the situation for us.
Well, sure, Cleve. So what happened was the first time through, we decided that we were going to go list our home. And, we get solicitations periodically from real estate agents, and I think my wife had gone out and reached out to a few real estate agents.
Right.
And actually what we did was we tried for like a week or two to sell it ourselves and advertised it on Craigslist or wherever. And we had a few real estate agents come through the house. So we collected some cards. And then those agents came through. You don't really have time to interview all the agents, right? You can't really set up an appointment with everybody who wants to. And so I have a small business and salesperson at heart, and I'm actually one of the easiest people to sell to, because if you get in my home to sell me something, I'm not going to let you leave without selling me something, because I don't want to continue to go through that process.
That's right. Sometimes salespeople are the easiest to be sold. They can be difficult during the process, but they're the easy sales.
Yes, sir. So we decided on an agent. Everything sounded good. We went through the listing process. Long story short, as you mentioned, was we had the home on the market for 6 months and it didn't sell. But during that process, the one thing I had asked the agent, I said, okay, so here's what I don't want to hear, right? Let's go to market. Let's try to sell the house. But what I really don't want to do is I don't want you to spend your time trying to tell me to lower the price, right? You're here to market my house.
Right.
And don't invest the time and energy. And within 3 weeks, that was really, what the agent was doing was basically saying, hey, the only thing we can really do is lower the price.
Right.
And it just rubbed me the wrong way. It may have been the right answer.
Yeah.
But, I'm stubborn, too.
Yeah, and they might have gone about it the wrong way. If you've just joined us, you're listening to the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST. I'm Cleve Gaddis. I'm talking on the phone today with Mike Scher of Alpharetta. We're talking about his experience with a listing broker and agent trying to sell his home in the Alpharetta area over the last 6 months. And Mike, couple things that you mentioned. Hey, this agent came in and they presented this marketing plan, and really what I expected from this agent was to apply that marketing plan and to communicate with me effectively about their application of that plan specifically. But you also mentioned, hey, we obligated ourselves to 6 months. Now, in an email that I actually saw that you forwarded to Karen and forwarded to me, it basically said, hey, after 3 months, our agent really stopped communicating with us. And that was something that was very frustrating. And one of the issues that I think we have in the real estate world is that the interest of the broker or the agent on the seller side and the buyer side are not specifically aligned with those of the seller and the buyer sometimes, because ultimately, if I get you $10,000 more for your house, it makes about a $300 difference in my pocket. And so one of the things that I think everybody who is thinking about listing a home should consider is one of the cleanest and clearest ways to make sure that your interest as a seller and even as a buyer, are aligned with your agent, is to have the ability to terminate the contract with your broker. So, for example, Mike, our listing agreements allow a seller to terminate that listing agreement at any time upon written notice. So picture this. We've listed your house. We get the first offer, and you can tell very clearly that I am not trying to represent your interest. I'm just trying to get the quickest sale that I possibly can. Well, with us, believe it or not, you could terminate that listing agreement. You already know who the buyer and the buyer's agent are. You could turn around and sell the property, provided we did not show the property to the buyer. You could sell the property to that buyer and buy through that buyer's agent and not pay us a dime. And we think that when we do that, we specifically align our interests with the seller. We can never have them totally financially lined up, because when you get an extra $10,000, I can't get an extra $10,000. But the thing that bothered me most about your scenario was, hey, they said they were going to do this. I don't think they did. And then once I started questioning them, what are we doing to make the process work? It doesn't sound to me like they did what they were supposed to. So talk to us a little bit about some of the things you've suggested for the agents that want to be interviewed to sell your house this second go round.
Yeah. So what I did was, when the listing expired, you could imagine hundreds and hundreds of calls that I got. And just couldn't meet with all those folks. So
now, were you wondering where they were when your house was listed, if they could sell it?
That's exactly right. And they said the home was beautiful, but yet they hadn't been in it, right?
Yes.
They had all the opportunity to do that. But
yes.
But basically, anybody who reached out to us, crafted an email to them and invited them to submit proposals.
Right.
And probably a couple dozen or so is who we sent the emails to.
Right.
And there was a couple things. There were really two themes to it. Number one was you're going to be held accountable for anything that you commit to. So if you commit to a marketing plan, I need you to understand to be able to demonstrate that you're going to. For example, we're going to make cold calls. We're going to send flyers. I want to know how many flyers you're going to send. I want to know when you're going to send them. You're going to need to be able to demonstrate what good response and bad response is, right? Because I don't know if you list my house on Zillow and I get 2,000 search results,
right,
and you send me a report. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Absolutely.
Right? You got to tell me what to expect.
That's right. That's right.
And so. So that was the one thing. And the other thing was, and it goes to the alignment on the compensation. Now, at some point, anybody here who has a house, whether the house is $1 million, $500,000, or $200,000, at some price, a 12-year-old can sell the house, right? Let's say if it's a market value $250,000 house, at let's say $175,000, anybody can sell the house.
Yes,
right? You don't really
agreed.
need a real estate agent to do it.
Agreed.
So, as you mentioned, Cleve, is that extra $10,000 is only means $300 in the pocket of the agent, but they're getting compensated whatever their percentage typically, if it's a straight percentage deal,
right, typically
on $1, right?
Exactly.
We just all agreed that on a $250,000 house, the first $175,000 or the first $200,000, a 12-year-old can sell. So there's no value to the real estate agent. To make things aligned is, how do you align the compensation where the agents really engaged and can participate in the hard dollars, right, which are the ones that they can get over, at and above market value.
Right.
So I in the email I had proposed a
sliding scale. Basically a sliding scale that says, hey, if you get me X amount that most people can get me, you're going to get a lower fee. And as you go up the profit for me, you're going to be in a position where you can get more as well. Mike, if you don't mind, I'd like for you to stick with us through the break. When we come back, we'll spend about another minute. We'll finish up our conversation. Can you do that for me?
I can do that.
Mike Scher on the line, or Scher. I feel like I'm mispronouncing your last name. It's Scher. Sure. Scher, got it. Scher, I apologize, Mike. And we were talking about his issues with not having full alignment of interest with his last real estate agent. And one of the things that Mike was suggesting is he said, hey, boy, it'd be nice if we could have a net listing. Unfortunately, net listings are illegal in the state of Georgia. A net listing would say, hey, you can have everything you get from my house over $500,000. So if an agent sold it for $550,000, they could keep all $50,000. The state of Georgia says that's not a good thing. And I think what happened is agents used to do that with unsuspecting or uneducated sellers, and it certainly was not fair. But it's something, Mike, you proposed was this sliding scale. And if you sell it at a price that almost anybody can sell it for, I really don't want to pay it all. If you start getting up into the numbers that make sense to me, I'll pay you more. And if you get up into numbers that really, really, really make sense to me, I'll pay more than I would pay other people to sell my house, meaning I'll pay more than a market rate. And I thought that was a fascinating take on things. So, Mike, thank you very much for being on the show. Do you have any last-minute words you'd like to leave us with?
It's just been an interesting experience. I appreciate, you and I had a chance to talk. I appreciate some of your comments and inputs and perspective on the situation. But we're looking forward to, as we've gone through this process, it's been really quite revealing of those realtors who really want to do a good job and everything. They've kind of come to the surface through this process.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to selecting one to go back on the market and very, very soon.
Hey, so, Mike, I'll tell you, a big way to whittle down the number of people who are interested is to ask them to put together a specific proposal, even a short proposal. Because if you ask 20 agents to put together a proposal, I would imagine that you and most of the other sellers out there would be surprised at how many would actually do that. Yeah, there you go. So it's not a huge percentage. Mike, thank you very much. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to your family. We appreciate you being on the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show right here on Talk Radio 640.
Thank you, Cleve.
This is Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show on Talk Radio 640 WGST.